Oh boy, this can't be a good sign. Oh, it's hard to tell. I got the skirt up on the front, but we gotta take a closer look here. I'm sure that's not normal. Yeah, that is a horrible sign. When I bought it, those two bolts were missing. You could see that had been heated. Like those bolts had been broken for a while. They never got them out. That's going to be a fun job with an easy out, hopefully. And there's bolts missing. Like, that's been a problem before. I don't know what it is. Oh boy, here goes on a fun fix-it mission. Well, this is at least one good place to start. See if we can disconnect the drive shaft. See, I bought this thing somewhere out of West Virginia, and I'm about starting to equate that to Kentucky. Like, it's one thing to have to fix stuff, you know, all things need fixing, but not to be able to put bolts back and certain things. I'm just like, man, not to hate on Kentucky, but I'm gonna be laying it on thick today because I am annoyed a little bit that it wasn't fixed properly last time. It's also letting me know there's something problematic about this gearbox or something related to it, and I don't know what it is. Does it mean we've got a balance issue in the cutter bar down below? Like, will that translate to a cutter bar issue? You know, being out of balance? Hopefully the universal in there is okay. Yeah. I got to a point yesterday where I just kept tightening these two bolts. They kept working their way loose, but I'd go a few rounds and have to tighten them up. Hopefully there's still threads in that hole. That one's broken off. I don't know about that top one up there, but we got to get it mounted, and we're going to use a lot of Loctite and hope that holds it. Well, time for wrenching. This should come off easy. It's just a splined like 540 shaft. Okay, that's off. Now, what's attaching the rest of this shielding to get in there to play with it? Well, there's only 3 bolts out front here holding this on. Those 2 up there were missing. Okay, what are we hooked on? Hopefully a whole lot of nothing. There, surprise. Now we can see in a little bit. That's not fantastic. Probably because it's not running true. They started walking off. I think we're going to end up taking the conditioner off. That's going to be entertaining. Don't know how that's going to work out. I guess some chains in the skid steer at some point. At least that's going to be easy to undo. Most of it's held in place right there. Okay, I lied. We don't have to necessarily do that because we've got this little bar here for leverage. It makes changing the belts quick. These aren't even that old. Okay, that's free. Enough. Yeah, this is the handy dandy blade changer and untensioner there. Well, what do y'all think of that? We didn't have to take it fully off. We just had to get it slid far enough back in order to get, you know, some clearance there to get the gearbox out. Let's see what we find. I'm hoping the universal is down there okay, because I did make like 2 passes to finish one little section of field I was in with no bolts there, running it at about half speed. Well, let's go ahead and pull this out of here. Let's see if I got enough muscles. When I bought this, the guy who sold it to me told me, oh yeah, we'd like to keep it as a spare. They just couldn't afford to. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it would have been sitting real fun with this. He told me they ran it like this without those bolts there. I'm like, right, sure you did, uh-huh. There's no way you bought it like that. Let's look at this side. Ooh, That one's gonna need a long one. That hole is a little boogered. Oh, man. How many of those holes are really boogered? We may be tapping those out for bigger bowls. Oh boy. Well, let's have a little update in the middle of this. I cleaned all the schmutz out of this first turtle here. See, I've seen a lot of other brands of mowers. They don't have a solid thing here. And this was just chock full of junk. I originally wanted to take the universals out, but I created a problem for myself when the impact slipped and one of the cap screw bolts, Bandit will love the bolts that are down there. They're kind of like those. And of course, you know, it's not a good straight edge. And I think I had a trouble with the impact and accidentally tightened it, and then I couldn't loosen it, and I just gave up, put the bolts back in, and figured it didn't feel loose, even though there's grease zerks down there. Like, there's no... You can only maybe grease the top one, but not the bottom one. I know they're not connected to grease them both together from the same zerk. So we'll see how long it takes that to come back and haunt me, but it wasn't the problem I wanted to deal with today, because it's taken long enough. We ended up spending, 5+ hours doing machine work on the holes in the gearbox here. That's 12 millimeter. These are now 1/2 inch because they just got wallered out so bad. I didn't have my camera when we went to Herman's. You know, to show all that fun. The hardest part was tapping the new threads in some of these. Drilling them out wasn't bad, but for some reason tapping the threads was just a bear. Then we had to easy out 2 broken bolts. These were broken. You can see somehow those got hot, but nobody had made an attempt to get the rest of the bolt out unless they broke off. The last time somebody had to take the gearbox out, which based on all this RTV here, somebody's been inside this gearbox. And they lacked the ability to put some bolts back in the sheet metal here. Yeah, attention to detail. That did not happen for some previous owner. I think I'm at least the 3rd on this poor thing. So yeah, we sliding it back in. You definitely need a friend. It's helpful to have like channel locks instead of your hand in there in case it, you know, don't want to smash it. And we're just working on some spacer options. I don't know what was back there, but there was definitely spacers. That's not the washers. We're trying to maybe make an actual, like, use a piece of pipe for a bushing instead of a stack of washers. But I guess it's mostly going smooth-ish. We'll see when we go to take it to the field. Ooh, I hope all of the bolts are tight. I think all the bolts are tight. Everything's back in place. So all we have left to do is to actually start it up and run it. Everything turns over by hand, but it would have turned over by hand before. It just, you know, wasn't perfect because the gearbox was floating and flopping around. So let's hop on the tractor, start it up, and make sure at least it may act right for a minute or two. Pull the lever! Well, it spins. Seems like it's doing okay. Let's give it some speed. Go out and listen. Sitting here, it'll seem okay. Hopefully nothing's vibrating too much. Man, that's a death trap. I can hardly hear myself think. I forget, what does Bandit say when we want it to work and hopefully hold together? The joys of foreign stuff. Maybe at least halfway corrected some of the metrics and have some SAE down there, and maybe that'll make it hold together better than it was. Now I guess it's time. Next thing is actually take this to the field, but it's too late today. Today was shot. And we'll try again tomorrow. Well, we're out here after fixing the mower. So far, so good that our bolts seem to be holding. That is fantastic. Of course, I've only mowed, say, 4 acres maybe, but they're holding. We got some run time on it now. They don't seem to be falling out just yet. It helps when there's all 6 bolts holding it. And another note is I guess we were a little dry, because it doesn't matter if there's some spots in this field that were being mowed, like for paths with a lawnmower, and the grass is no better there than anywhere else. Theoretically, anything that is mowed with a lawnmower, since it's not being taken away for hay and getting all the clippings on it, will be in pretty good shape. Nope, I guess we were a little dry. This field's shown it a bit. Oh well, minor detail. At least we're not fighting rain too much, other than it rained earlier today a little bit, because all of a sudden after the remnants of Hurricane Beryl came through, then we had problems. We didn't get any rain from it really, but we ended up with showers, 2 days afterwards. When it was supposed to be dry for a week. Oops. Well, we're doing our end of the day check. I'm glad to know that fills up with grass so fast. It doesn't matter that I cleaned it out really, and that stings. Feeling the gearbox, feeling the bolts. They're all still there, all still feel tight. That is fantastic. Yeah, there's a little bit of heat. That's not overly exciting, but I want to also feel this other gearbox here. It's just as hot. It's a lot of heat running 1000 PTO, I guess. That one I know is full of oil because it's got a sight gauge on it. And I took that one apart. I figured out this is actually kind of a dipstick, the breather there, and that seemed like it was okay on oil. There's oil. It does gather a bit more heat than I would like. I wouldn't like it to get so hot, like down here on the mower bed. You can't see my hand, but that stays nice and cool. And I don't know if it's because it's so big and there's just so much mass to absorb the heat. But I figure with all those gears in there, maybe it'd gain a little bit. So I guess so far, so good. We're surviving. Our fix is holding. Now if we can just get the rain to stay away. Well, that did turn into the week from hell on making hay. This is just a little wad that was left here. It's drying out on bottom. You can kind of see how this was a windrow, and I was too busy focused trying to get the hay baled before it rained, and it didn't happen. At the wind, it came through and just like tedded the hay for us. So I got to re-rake a couple of these back together that we didn't get done. This field yielded terribly in general, and we didn't even make maybe 150 bales. In many years I made close to 3, and apparently they have been drier over here because we're over by Bandits area. They've missed even more rains than we've missed, but I'm not playing in mud. It's awesome sauce. I'll take it. We'll be a little sad about one low yielding field, but we got to rake this and I'll roll it to clean it up. I just want to see how dry it is underneath. Actually, it's not too bad. The little piece I have closer to home to bale, it was still like wet on bottom yesterday. I didn't ted it out. It's, it's round bales now. We got so much rain and so frequent. It wasn't a lot. It was just every other day there. We started out with a week of, it's going to be dry until Sunday. And I thought I was going to get it all done on Sunday. The mower broke, so that kind of put things back a day. I didn't get to mowing, so I couldn't do it Friday. Like I mowed on Friday and couldn't bale Saturday. It was still wet. So that's just some of the fun. I'm going to hop on the rake here, put these back together, clean up this week's mess, and hopefully the rest of this week will be as rain-free as they guess. And we'll have a better hay week next time.